Hey guys, it's Jenny K again. I know it's been quite a long time since I've last streamed, and because of that, I don't actually know if anyone's going to actually view this. But what you just heard was actually the part. Oh, I'm gonna duck this down just a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. So what you guys just heard was part of the first track of A Hero's Call. Okay. Sorry, guys. And you are going to hear my speech, and I do apologize for that, but that is because I'm using OBS, and OBS is kind of like a catch-all sort of thing. So you're just going to have to hear my speech and bear with it, and I do apologize for that. So yeah, this is the original soundtrack from Idas Out Games, and it was created for A Hero's Call. And as you all know, or those of you who are in the gaming scene, they do have an official release date, and it's going to be December 29th. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be epic, right? I can't wait for it. But in the meantime, they did release a soundtrack, and I did get to speak with Joseph Bain, who actually is a good friend of mine, and I emailed him a couple questions regarding the album. And right now we're actually going to discuss some of that, because that's what you guys are all here for, right? I mean, I'm not a musician, and I could speak to you all day about musical things, but it's not going to make any sense because I'm not a musician. But I am going to give you some of like my first impressions that I got when I listened to this album for the first time, because you guys are here to talk to me too. So I'm going to give you my first impressions. If there's any of you guys listening, if you would like to tweet in or Skype me, well, if you're going to Skype me, you must have my Skype originally, but please tweet me. My Twitter is silvermoon1022. It's SILVERMOON1022. Also, you can email me with any feedback you might have with either this stream or any of my previous streams, and my email is jenny, JENNY.E.KIM as in Mary 2007 at gmail.com. Again, that's Jenny, JENNY.E.KIM 2007 at gmail.com. So this track, it's the title track. It's called A Hero's Call, and I'm sure you probably heard it when I was trying to play it with my JAWS, and it's the original track. It's pretty awesome, right? And my first thought is it was just epic. It's just like, it has like this epic sort of feel, right? So the first question I asked Joseph Bain, who is Joseph Westhouse on AudioGames.net. You guys know him as Joseph Westhouse on Audio Games, but his actual name is Joseph Bain. But anyways, the first question I asked him, and I'm gonna read it word for word because I do have it all written down so you guys can hear what he says. So this one I said, so for the album, I know that it was a collaborative effort between yourself and Stephen Harrington. How did that start? How did you two get introduced? And his answer, Joseph's answer was, Stephen was actually one of several composers who emailed us and said, hey, I came across your Kickstarter campaign and was wondering if you need a composer. I love to be involved. So then we kind of auditioned composers, got price quotes from them and all that, and figured out who we wanted to work with. So that's how, because this, if you guys have the album, and if you don't, I totally recommend you get it. It is so worth the price. It's totally just like not even questionable. And if you have the album, it says it's an effort between Joseph Bain and Stephen Harrington. So I asked about that. So then this next question I asked him was actually regarding the title track itself. And what I wrote him was, For the title track, in my personal opinion, that is about as epic as it can get. And guys, listen to it. It is pretty epic, right? Just like listen here. I'm gonna raise this. Right, so it's pretty epic, right? It's gonna be about as epic as I can get. And then I wrote, I can imagine people just sitting at the menu screen listening to the track. So what was the inspiration for that? I know it's not an easy process to just make music out of thin air. So can you sort of talk about what kind of process you yourself go through when composing a piece of music? Here, sorry, I'm gonna duck this down just like a little bit. There we go. And I will raise it back up for you guys after I'm done with this question, I think. And his answer was, I can't really say much about my, quote, process because it's just kind of organic and doesn't always follow the same sequence. I usually start with the story behind the song or the emotion or whatever. Sometimes that informs a specific instrument or group of instruments I want to feature. So for the main theme, I wanted this very iconic, epic, fantasy theme, but I also wanted there to be a little overtone of darkness and melancholy since in the game, Farhaven is in a pretty bad situation when you get there. So I think I started with knowing that I wanted to feature a cello because I think it has this really fantasy Isa otherworldly sound, but it also can be a little solemn. Then I just sort of listen in my head for the tune, sit down at the piano and start figuring it out and see what happens. So yeah, that's there we go. So that's how the title track came about, which is pretty awesome, right? Because this song is pretty epic. So I'm gonna actually let you guys hear this for a minute, not too long, because I do want you guys to get the album, and I don't want to like detract from that. But I will let you guys listen to it for a second, and then I'll switch to the next track. Okay? All right. So here we go. I'm gonna shut up now. Alright, so that's A Hero's Call. That's the first track. So we're gonna actually move on to the next track. And that's called Farhaven. So here we go. So, for this track, the impression I've kind of got when I first listened to it, was very, like, quaint, I guess, which, here, I'm gonna duck it down just a little more, which makes sense, because Farhaven is, like, the small town, when you actually play the game, it's like a small town. I mean, you hear it on the audio demos on YouTube. It sounds like a little small, quaint town. And it kind of makes sense. Like, this should have a sort of homely feeling to it. I don't know. That's kind of the impression I got. So, anyways, we're going to move on to the next track. Alright. this track is called Beset by Foes. And I remember when I first listened to this track, I remember I was texting with Joseph, and I texted him, I said, oh my god, this sounds like a song that I would play in a movie if there was a scene with like a country going to war, because it sounds so warlike. I mean, I know the song says Beset by Foes, which, yeah, I mean, I get that, but it sounds so warlike. I don't know, like the impression I get with the drums in the background, it sounds like you're about to like go off to war. Like, I don't know, like that's just me and my like personal opinion. I didn't ask many questions about these two tracks. I just haven't. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I love it. It's epic. It's like this, I'm going off to war. Like, I'm about to fight something. Let's do it. Like, if you were playing a game where you were about to go to war with another faction or something, this would totally be the track for it, right? So yeah, that's Beset by Foes. So I'm gonna actually play the next track. So this next track, it's called Gwen's Theme, and it's actually the theme for one of the characters in AHC. And before I say any more, there will be some spoilers in this album review, and that's just because of the answers that I received from Joseph, and they're so in depth, and I absolutely love it, and I cannot say enough for him to have taken the time to write out all these answers to these questions that I emailed him. I just so appreciate it, because without it, this album review would have no content, because I'm not musical whatsoever. But this is Gwen's Theme. It's like one of my favorites, so we're just gonna listen to it for a second. Oh my god, that is such a beautiful song, right? It is just like amazing. It just is like, it is like I'm talking down just a little more so you guys can hear me. It is just amazing. I just can't say enough about it. So I wrote to Joseph about so this is actually Gwen's theme, and there's themes for all the characters, for Gwen, for Matthias, Alexia, and Simeon. Not in that order, I don't think. But anyways, so I wrote to him, and I'm gonna read his answer, because this is quite an expansive answer, and I'm gonna read them as those themes that he mentions in his answer comes up. So anyways, here's what I wrote. So I asked him this question. So I said, admittedly, my favorite track in this entire album is Gwen's theme song. I know we've had many discussions about my love for that song. We did. Like, every time I listened to it, I kept telling him I love the song. So how did you come up with that particular song? In fact, all the characters' theme songs are so befitting. They each kind of have their own personality. They each evoke a different emotion. If it's possible, can you talk about just how that was made possible? Do you think of each character, the way they've been developed, their personalities, and try and compose a song from it? I'm sure it's a really abstract process, but any sort of background on them would be so very much appreciated, because they are so very distinct. They all seem to have their own personalities, if that's possible for music to be. So I'm gonna read kind of part of what he wrote, and not all of it, but part of what he wrote. So he says, yeah, so the theme songs were actually very much informed by their characters. I can share a bit on all of them. Some of this is a little spoilery. So for Gwen's, which is what we're listening to now, he wrote, Gwen. So Gwen's was the only one I wrote, though Stephen altered the melody a good bit, and I'm glad he did. Stephen wrote the others. In a lot of ways, Gwen is sort of the emotional center of the game, so I wanted something very emotive. she's this really strong character, but deep down she's just trying to prove herself, and along the way she comes to realize that she doesn't have anything to prove. um, so I wanted to capture that vulnerability and that strength. When writing the theme, I actually thought about my wife a lot and kind of wrote it for her in a sense, just to get that emotional angle. Once I had the basic theme, I let that journey of vulnerability leading to that discovery of strength kind of inform the shape of the song. I also wanted there to be a bit of connection to Farhaven, which is why I put in the guitar picking to connect to the guitar in the Farhaven theme. Which is amazing. I mean, like, this song, guys, it's amazing, yeah? And, I know, like, I'm biased because this is, like, my favorite song. Totally agree to that. But this is amazing, right? It's, like, yeah, just amazing. Like, I can't say enough. Like, I so cannot say enough about it. I'm just gonna raise this so you guys can hear it for a second, and then we'll go on to the next track, alright? But this song is totally my favorite of the whole album. Can't say enough about it. I mean, it's so pretty. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I hope you can. It's like so awesomely pretty. Like when I here, let's talk this for a second. When I spoke, I like I said, while I was listening to this album for the first time, I was in fact texting with Joseph Bain, and I remember when I first listened to this, the first reaction I had was, oh my god, it's so pretty, because it is. It's beautiful. It's like this awesomely awesome, like, track, right? There's like this one part I don't like where it like speeds up unnecessarily. I don't know if we're gonna get to it right now, but yeah, it like speeds up really oddly unnecessarily, which I guess there's a point to it. You know, because, I mean, I didn't make the music, so I guess there's a point to it, but for me, I'm just like, wait, what was, like, the point of, because it speeds up, like, twice this measure, so it speeds up oddly unnecessarily. I mean, I know I said that, like, 5 times, but it does, and when I first listened to it, I'm like, why do you, like, what was the point of that, like, why? But, I mean, besides that, this track is, like, perfection. Like I said, it is one of my favorites. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Alright, so this one, the next track is called Restless Souls. Yeah. So, and the next one is going to be Alexia's theme. So, yeah, so Restless Souls, I'm going to play this. So this song, I don't really have any, like, strong, like, sorry, like a little more, okay, sorry guys, I'm not doing this professionally, I'm, like, doing this on Winamp, so, like, when I duck the audio down, I'm physically, like, manually doing it, so, I do apologize for, like, the not professional, because I don't have a mixer, guys, I don't have anything, I only have OBS, and that's all I got, so, when I duck it, I'm ducking it with Winamp, so I do apologize if something is a little too loud or a little too quiet. I am trying my best, but it is kind of hard to do. Anyways, yeah, so this one, I didn't really have, like, a strong, like, emotional, like, impression of it. Although now that I'm listening to it right now, I feel like I'm in a really creepy church. Just because of the way, like, how slow the music is, and then you have, like, that choir going on. I feel like I'm in a really creepy church. I feel like this is how I would feel if I was, like, playing a game and I was, like, walking around in, like, haunted church. I don't know. Maybe a haunted cemetery. I don't know. But like I said, I don't really have, like, a strong impression. And as I said at the beginning of the stream, like, I'm not a musician, so I'm not gonna give you any like musical critiques or anything. I'm just gonna give you my impressions, and I'll read to you what Joseph Bain has written about these tracks. Although this one there isn't really anything for it. But yeah, this is pretty awesome. So all right, we're gonna go to the next one. So yeah, that's the beginning of Alexia's theme, and it is awesome. It fits her to a T. I love the church bells in the background, because Alexia is like this. Okay, yeah, Alexia is like this priest character, so like the church bells totally like fit her. So I'm gonna read you what Joseph wrote actually about this character, and like I said, there are some spoilers. But like I said, it's the album review and it's gonna happen. But here we go. So this is what he wrote. He says, Alexia starts out as this wide-eyed, innocent person, and then develops into a sort of crusader. And I told Stephen I wanted the piece to reflect that journey. I can't speak to his process too much, but I can see why he made some of the choices he did, like the church bells and later on choir, to give that sort of cathedral feel, and the drums and overall rhythm of the middle section have sort of a march feel, which works with the whole crusader thing. Oh, and I did tell him I'd like to use flute for her. For some reason, that just kind of feels spiritual to me. Something about the breathiness or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's what he wrote for Alexia's theme, which is amazing. Like I said, not my favorite. Like I said, my favorite is Gwen's, which we passed, but it is amazing. It's just yeah. So I'm gonna turn it up for a second. Let you guys listen to it for a second. Alright, so that brings that track to an end. I'm sorry about that, guys. Just the way I timed it just happened that way. But like I said, you guys can totally buy the album because the album is amazing and is worth every cent. Just saying. Just saying, it is. Okay, here we go. So the next one is called Against the Tide. Here we go. So this one is called Against the Tide, and as you can see, it is very, like, pumped. I mean, if I had to get pumped for something, like if I had to get pumped to shoot something, I don't know, if I had to get pumped to play a shooter game, this might be the song I listen to. There's another song towards the latter end of the album that I would totally listen to. We will get to that. But this song is pretty awesomely warlike, which is my impression as well. It's like a pumpy, like, let's do it, like, let's kick some butt, let's do it, kind of song, and I absolutely love it. It'd be one of those songs that if someone were, like, a huge, like, AHC person, and they could do it, I mean, I can't do it because I don't know how to put it on my phone, but if they could do it, they'd use it as their alarm or something, because it's so, like, upbeat, and, like, let's do it, and, like, let's kick behind its awesomeness, right? So yeah, that's called Against the Tide. So that's that song. And then we're gonna play I feel like I missed something. No. Okay, here we go. Shadows of Deepwood. Here we go. So this song, talk just a little bit. Okay. So this song, I remember this song, and I'm gonna talk just a little more. Okay. So yeah, the song is kind of making me laugh, but it's only because I remember my first impression of this song. And like I said, when I listened to this album for the first time, I was in fact texting with Joseph Bain, as I told you. And when I first listened to this song, I was like, my first impression was, this song is so unbelievably creepy. And like, okay, like towards the middle-ish latter end, it's like the creepiness factor kind of like lowers down a couple notches. But that beginning bit and like the beginning middle bit is like, it so like represents like being in a like, I can imagine like the beginning part of the song, or like beginning, middle, whatever part of the song being in like a horror film with like a girl walking through a forest with like a creepy stalker Axeman behind her, like creeping behind her. I totally have that image in my head, like me like in a forest with like a creepy stalker guy behind me, like trying to like, I don't know, like hack me to pieces. I don't know. And like I remember like when I first listened to this song, like I've listened to this album several times, and I remember when I first listened to the song, I couldn't actually finish it. Like I didn't know, like at this point here, here, I'm gonna let you listen to it for a second. So, at that point, the creepiness factor kind of gets turned down, and like it's like manageable and it's fine. But for some reason, like that beginning part creeped me out to such a degree. Like when I listened to it for the first time, I was like, I'm done. Like I can't listen to this anymore. I feel like someone's gonna creep up and like snatch me or something. And that was my first impression of this song, and it's called Shadows of Deepwood. So alright, let's go to the next song. Alright, so this one's called Matthias' Theme. This is another character theme. And I will let you guys listen to it for a second, and then I will give you Joseph's sort of inspiration thing behind it. And I did split it up like that. Well, he wrote it in one big answer, but I split it up like that so you guys can listen to the theme and then kind of understand how it all ties together. So yeah, that's kind of why I did it that way. But anyways, here's Matthias' Theme. So that's kind of the beginning of Matthias' Theme, and I'll let you guys listen to that a little bit more, because, so, when I first listened to this song, I have to admit, so, the beginning part of that song, like, before, like, the kind of the beat picks up and things kind of get a little more involved, I guess. Not upbeat, because it's not really an upbeat song, but things get a little more involved right towards the beginning of that song with the flutes. So this song, I didn't really think it caught Matthias' character very well. I thought it didn't. But then as soon as like that other high-pitched flute and all of that came in, I was like, oh my god, this is like so Matthias, right? And this part here. Like, that whistle thing is so awesome, right? And like for me, like that whole part of that song, like I just played it for a couple seconds, totally like catches Matthias' essence perfectly, right? But when I first listened to it, that beginning part, I didn't think it did. So this was one of those songs I had to actually like get into for a couple seconds, and really like get into it before I was like, oh my god, it does fit in perfectly. Like, this is great. So I'm gonna read Joseph's answer for this song. Matthias is kind of a hunted past, and there is always this sort of melancholy about him. So Stephen and I wanted to make something that was a little sad, and also something that felt like it belonged to the other Forest music, since Matthias is so connected to the forest. I actually had a piece I was working on for Matthias, but we decided to scrap it, and I'm so glad because Stephen's Matthias track may be my favorite on the album. He said that he feels like 3/4 time signature is always a little melancholy, so he wanted to do it in 3/4. I said go for it. I told him he had to include some sort of wood flute or a whistle, like penny whistle or pan flute, because it's such an organic sound and just feels very woodsy to me. So he did, and then used French horn for the main melody, which is just perfect because it sounds so wistful. And I agree with the whistle, because it's like when the whistles kick in, it's like, oh my god, it's so like perfect, right? And I absolutely agree. It does give that woodsy sort of feeling. It does give that foresty sort of feeling. And when I did get into this track, I did think, oh my god, that is very much like Matthias. That is so awesome. So, like, awesomely awesome, right? And I can't stress it enough. You guys should totally get this album. Really can't stress it enough. I do this album review, hopefully not to detract you guys from getting the album, but to encourage it, to give you a little brain teaser, to give you a little background information on like what went into this album, what sort of thought processes went into it, and I just really like want to get that in, really like for you guys to get this album, because it is so amazing and it is awesome and it is so well composed, and so well thought out. So yeah, totally you should get the album and finish this track, because this track is awesome. So we are moving on, guys. Alright, so this next one is called Into the Fray. Here we go. So this is called Into the Fray. This is actually a really short track. So I'm not gonna let you listen to all of it. Because it is. There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's called Into the Fray. It's really short track. But this is like a song I would listen to if I was like, I don't know, if I had to like, I don't even know. Like, this song is so like upbeat and so awesomely awesome. And I know I use that word a lot, but it is. This I think is one of my other favorite. Well, I don't know. I have so many good tracks. This one and probably one other my top 3. I know Gwen's is my first one. This one, and another one coming up, which I will play for you guys later on. This is like the song I would choose if I had to like go on a mission and like I had to win or succeed in the mission. I don't know. It just sounds epic to me. Like, it's just that it sounds so epic, right? And it's like one of those songs, if I had to go on this mission and I'm like, I have to succeed on this mission, it's like do or die time, right? That's a song I would choose because it is so upbeat and like great, right? All right, so we're gonna move on. So the next one is called Darkness at the Heart. So this is another creepy kind of song, guys. I don't know. This one and well, what is it called? Shadow of Deepwoods. They're like runners for creepiness, right? Because it is. And like this song kind of like makes me feel like I mean, like Shadow of Deepwood kind of made me feel like a horror sort of vibe, but this one makes me think like I'm in a really dark sort of place and I'm like creeping along and trying to like figure out what's going on. I don't know. I get less of a horror vibe, but it is equally creepy. Because it just is like the beginning bit. I mean, this part is less creepy. I mean. Okay, I mean, that's less creepy, right? So the creepiness kind of fades out, but it's still pretty dark, right? It's still pretty melancholy, and that's, I mean, creepy is the word I use, but I mean, it's still pretty kind of down, melancholy, creepy. Less of a horror vibe, though. I mean, I don't know, that's just me personally. I mean, Shadow of Deepwood totally gave me the horror vibe. This is less of a horror vibe, more of just a creepy kind of, I don't know. But yeah, that's that song. So we're gonna go to the next one. All right. So the next one is Simeon's theme. I personally love this theme. This is probably one of my favorites as well. Because it's just so awesome. All right. I'm just gonna play and let you guys listen to it. Alright, so this song, when I first listened to the song, I remember I texted Joseph and I was like, Simeon's theme is so, like, catches Simeon's essence so well. It just radiates Simeon. That's all I can say. Like, it just radiates him. Like, that's, I can't say it anymore. Like, when you guys, like, listen, or, well, not even listen, when you guys, I guess when the game comes out and you guys play the game, you will understand this song absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, radiates Simeon. Like, it is awesomely snap on, right? And so this is what Joseph wrote about his theme song. So he wrote, basically, I told him, Simeon's a quick talker and quick thinker, and he acts like he's only looking out for himself, but deep down, there's a heart of gold. So his challenge was the same as a voice actor's challenge, coming up with a take on the character that has this roguish, sneaky, sarcastic feel, but still somehow charming. He just absolutely nailed it, and I cannot agree with it more. I have to fight not to laugh every time I hear that piece. It's Simeon to a T. Again, absolutely agree with it. Also, I provided him with a dialogue sample of all the characters, including Gwen, for the orchestration of my piece. So I could listen to okay, let me read that again. Because I totally misread that. Okay. Oh, I also provided him with dialogue samples of all the characters, including Gwen, for the orchestration of my piece, so he could listen to some of these defining character moments and let that inform his composition. I think it helped a lot. So yeah, it's totally awesome. Alright, let me pause this for a second. Well, actually, I'm just gonna let this play. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna actually go to the next track. Alright, hold on a second. Alright. Yep, this one's called Destiny Beckons. Here we go. So this song, I honestly thought was pretty epic. I mean, with epicness, this one and A Hero's Call, the original soundtrack, pretty much ties it up. This is like, I don't know, like Final Fantasy, like hurrah, epic. I don't know how to explain it. And it is. It's like Final Fantasy, like we win, like epicness. Here we go, that kind of epic. I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, it's a pretty short song, but it's pretty awesome, right? Alright, so we're gonna actually go to the last track. And it's called Always Another Adventure. And I'm gonna let you guys listen to it for a second, and then we will wrap it up with a couple more questions that I have asked Joseph, and we'll wrap the stream up. So here we go. So this song, and this is the last track, like I mentioned, and I remember, so for each song, for this one, I hadn't listened to the whole track, and when I listened to the beginning of it, I remember texting Joseph, and I said, oh my god, this last song is so sad. It is so unbelievably sad. And it is. You guys just listen to it. It is really sad. It does pick up, and it does kind of get more upbeat and less depressing and kind of down in the dumps, but that beginning, it was like, I was so sad. I was like, this song is just like so sad, but it's really pretty. It's a pretty song. The piano is lovely. It's just awesomely awesome, right? I know, that's like my phrase today. I'm in a good mood, and that's my phrase today. But anyways, oh, by the way, for those of you guys who are going to listen to this today, happy Thanksgiving. For those of you who listen to it after today, then this no longer applies. But anyways, yeah, so this is like, when I first listened to it, I was like, oh my god, it's so sad. The sadness goes away, and it does become more upbeat, but that was like my first sort of impression. So anyways, I'm gonna read you the last couple questions I had asked Joseph. I wrote, my question says, now I know that when I do this review, I'll be taking it track by track, which I did, and giving my impressions of each song, which I did. However, for you, as the composer, is there a certain vibe to the entire album that you had intended to get across to the listeners? Just because I'm sure you're able to look at the album as a whole, rather than taking it apart piece by piece. Because that's literally what I just did in the stream. So his answer was, honestly, I don't know that there was a particular vibe, other than just a sense of being in another world. Somewhere a little magical, but also with some history and depth to it. But really, the album is mostly just the sum of its parts. I did try to group things thematically, so there's the Farhaven Suite, the Forest Suite, the Graveyard Suite, etc. So there's that. And then my final question to him Is there anything you would like to say or mention regarding the album or the music? Anything that you'd like the listeners to know that I overlooked? And he wrote, I don't know. Just that Steven's pretty brilliant, and I'm glad we were able to do this. Music is such an important piece of any game, but maybe even more so for an audio game. So we wanted to do it justice. We could have gone for a couple of cheaper options for the soundtrack, but I'm so glad we didn't. We might have been able to get some more tracks if we'd gone cheaper, but I don't think there's any way the quality would have been as high. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my questions that I'd asked Joseph. I did tweet and ask if anyone else had any questions, and no one tweeted me, so there that goes. Anyways, so that concludes it for me, guys, for today. This has been the album review for from Out of Sight Games. It has been the original soundtrack for A Hero's Call. If you have any suggestions, any feedback, anything at all, anything you'd like me to do next on YouTube, whether it is gaming or not, please tweet me at Silvermoon1022. That's at SILVERMOON1022. Or you can email me at Jenny, JENNY, .e.kim2007 Again, that's Jenny, JENNY, .e.kim2007 Also, please make sure you subscribe and like these videos. And any sort of feedback from you guys would be totally awesome. I look forward to hearing back from you guys, and hopefully I'll be back much sooner than the last time I streamed. I know it has been so long, and I do apologize for that. So yeah, if you have anything you'd like me to do, please let me know, because I want to know what you guys like and what you guys would like for me to do. So let me know, and I will see you guys for next time. Alright, bye-bye, guys.